Dr. Vexon of the Galactic Institute of Xenobiology had studied over 300 species during her long career. She had documented the hunting patterns of the Calori predators, mapped the hive minds of the Scythian colonies, and even survived a close encounter with the carnivorous plants of Nexus 7. Nothing had prepared her for what she was about to witness on the human colony ship named Horizon. The research vessel docked with the Horizon at precisely 1400 hours Galactic Standard Time. Vexarn adjusted her breathing apparatus and checked her recording devices one final time. She stepped through the airlock with her research assistant, a young Thelian named Chorus. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly as they entered the human ship for the first time. His scales shifted to a pale blue color that indicated nervousness. The interior was not what either of them expected. Instead of the cold metal corridors common to most space vessels, the Horizon was filled with green growing things. Plants hung from ceiling fixtures in beautiful arrangements. Small trees grew in special containers along the walls. Water features trickled somewhere in the distance, creating a peaceful sound that echoed through the hallways. It felt less like a spaceship and more like a garden that happened to be floating through the endless void of space. A human female approached them with a wide smile on her face. She was of average height with dark skin and hair that was pulled back from her face in a practical style. Behind her walked a creature that made Chorus take several steps backward in alarm. It was a Varkan. The species was known throughout the galaxy as one of the most dangerous apex predators in existence. Standing nearly 2 meters tall at the shoulder, covered in thick gray scales that could deflect most weapons, with 6 powerful legs and a mouth full of teeth designed for tearing flesh from bone. The Varkan had caused the extinction of 17 intelligent species before the Galactic Council had declared their home planet permanently off limits to all visitors. Yet here one was, walking calmly beside a human who barely reached its massive chest. The human noticed their alarm and laughed softly. The sound was gentle and reassuring. She reached up and scratched the Varkan behind what might have been its ears. The massive predator made a rumbling sound deep in its throat and leaned into her touch like a domesticated pet. "This is Max," she said. "He has been with me since he was just a baby. Found him on a rescue mission about 8 years ago. Poor thing was the only survivor of his pack. Something had killed the rest. He was so small and scared when I found him." Vexarn could not process what she was seeing. The Varkan, Max, had lowered his massive head and was gently nudging the human woman with his snout. She scratched him again, and he made that rumbling sound once more. His tail, which was thick enough to crush stone, wagged slowly behind him. "He likes you," the human said to Vexarn. "He does not usually warm up to strangers so quickly. You must have a kind energy." Vexarn realized that the Varkan was indeed looking at her with something that might have been curiosity rather than hunger. This went against everything she knew about the species. Every scientific document stated that Varkans viewed all other creatures as either threats or food. "I am Captain Sarah Chun," the human continued. "Welcome aboard the Horizon. I understand you are here to study our bonding behaviors. The Council sent word that you would be coming." Vexarn nodded slowly, still watching the Varkan with fascination and some remaining fear. "Yes, the Galactic Council has received numerous reports about human relationships with other species. Some of these reports seem too strange to be true. We are here to document and understand what is happening on ships like yours." Captain Chun smiled again. That smile seemed to be a common human expression that communicated warmth and welcome. "Well then, let me give you the full tour. I think you will find plenty to study here." What followed over the next several hours challenged everything Vexarn thought she knew about interspecies relationships. The Horizon was home to over 500 humans and an almost equal number of non-human creatures from dozens of different worlds across the galaxy. In the medical bay, she found a human doctor treating a wounded Sylphian, a species known for their extreme distrust of all other life forms. The Silthians had fought wars against almost every species they had ever encountered. Yet this one was holding the doctor's hand while he worked on her injured limb, her usually aggressive posture completely relaxed. Found her floating in a damaged escape pod 3 years ago, the doctor explained while carefully applying medicine to the wound. She was terrified first. Would not let anyone touch her. Took months before she would even let me near her without attacking. I just kept coming back, kept bringing food, kept sitting nearby and talking. Eventually, she understood I wanted to help. Now she helps me in the medical bay. Best assistant I have ever had. The Silthian made a soft clicking sound that Vexon's translator interpreted as agreement and perhaps even affection. In the engineering section, a human male was working on a complex piece of machinery with the help of a Threxian. This was remarkable because Threxians communicated through electrical impulses and were generally considered impossible to work with by most species. Their thought patterns were so alien that even the most advanced translation devices could not interpret their meaning. We developed our own language, the engineer explained proudly. Took about a year of trial and error, but now we understand each other perfectly. Started with simple things like yes and no, built up from there. Zix here is a genius with power systems. Could not run this ship without them. Best partner I have ever worked with. The Threxian pulsed with colors that seemed to indicate pleasure at the compliment. It moved closer to the human and rested one of its appendages on his shoulder in what appeared to be a gesture of friendship. Chorus was taking extensive notes, his 4 eyes blinking in confusion as he tried to make sense of what he was observing. Dr. Vexon understood his confusion completely. She felt it herself. How is this possible? She finally asked Captain Chun as they walked through a corridor filled with small flowering plants. These species are not supposed to be compatible with each other. Some of them are natural predators and prey. Some of them cannot even breathe the same atmosphere. Yet they are all living together in apparent harmony. Captain Chun led them to a large observation deck where they could see the stars streaming past the windows. The view was beautiful and peaceful. She was quiet for a moment before answering, gathering her thoughts. I think it is because we need connection, she said finally. Humans evolved on a planet where we were not the strongest or the fastest creatures. Many animals could kill us easily. We survived by working together, by forming bonds with each other and with other creatures around us. We domesticated wolves and turned them into dogs that protected our families. We formed partnerships with horses and cattle that helped us build civilizations. We even learned to communicate with dolphins and elephants and found intelligence in unexpected places. She turned to face them directly. When we came to space and met other species, we just continued doing what we had always done. We reached out our hands. We tried to connect. We looked for common ground. We searched for the parts of each other that were the same. But some of these species are dangerous, Chorus said with worry in his voice. The Varkan alone has killed millions of intelligent beings. Max is not dangerous to those he loves. Captain Chun replied calmly. That is the thing about bonds. They change both sides. Max learned that I would never hurt him. He learned that protecting me made him feel good. Our connection made both of us better than we were alone. Vexon spent the next 3 weeks aboard the Horizon, documenting everything she observed. She watched humans share meals with species that had been at war for centuries. She saw children playing with creatures that would have terrified most adults. She witnessed mourning rituals when an elderly human passed away and was amazed to see over 40 different species come together to honor his memory with tears and songs and silent grief. The most remarkable case came near the end of her stay. A distress signal was received from a nearby moon. A Kelari hunting ship had crash-landed, and the crew was injured and stranded. The Kelari were feared throughout the galaxy for their brutal raids on peaceful settlements. They took slaves and destroyed worlds without mercy. Captain Chun did not hesitate for even a moment. She ordered the Horizon to change course and sent a rescue team to the moon's surface. Why would you help them? Vexarn asked in shock. The Kelari would not help you if the situation was reversed. They would more likely eat you or sell you as slaves. Because they need help, Captain Chun said simply. That is enough reason. And maybe this will be the start of something new. You never know when an enemy might become a friend. The rescue team returned with 12 Kelari survivors. They were treated in the medical bay, fed in the dining hall, and given quarters to rest. At first, the Kelari were suspicious and hostile. They snarled at anyone who came near. They refused to eat the food offered to them. They made threats in their guttural language, but the humans did not give up. They continued to bring food. They sat nearby and talked softly, even though the Kelari did not respond. They offered blankets and water and medical care. They showed patience that seemed endless. On the fourth day, one of the younger Kelari, barely more than a child by their species standards, approached a human woman who had been bringing him food each day without fail. He held out a small trinket, a carved bone that the Kelari used as tokens of respect. His hands were shaking. The human woman accepted it with a gentle smile and offered the Kelari child a piece of sweet fruit in return. He took it cautiously, sniffed it with his sharp nose, and then took a small bite. His eyes widened at the taste. He had never experienced something so sweet and pleasant. Within a week, the Kelari crew had integrated into the ship's community. They were teaching the humans their hunting techniques and telling stories of their world. The humans were teaching them how to grow food in the ship's gardens and showing them that not everything needed to be taken by force. The elder Kelari admitted that he had never imagined such cooperation was possible. He said his people had been taught that all other species were enemies. Vexarn completed her study and prepared her report for the Galactic Council. She spent many hours trying to find the right words to describe what she had witnessed. Standard scientific language seemed too cold for what she had observed. The human ability to form emotional bonds is not a weakness, she wrote. It is perhaps the most powerful adaptation in the galaxy. Where other species see danger, humans see potential. Where others see enemies, humans see friends they have not made yet. Their capacity for connection appears to be unlimited. They bond with predators and prey alike. They form attachments to creatures that cannot speak their language, that do not share their biology, that come from completely different evolutionary paths. This bonding ability seems to stem from several factors. First, humans are highly social creatures who evolved to depend on group cooperation for survival. Second, they possess a remarkable capacity for empathy that allows them to imagine the experiences of others, even others very different from themselves. Third, they appear to derive genuine pleasure from these connections, receiving chemical rewards in their brains when they form bonds with other creatures. Most remarkably, these bonds appear to be transformative for both parties involved. Creatures that are typically aggressive become gentle. Species that normally avoid all contact become social. The bonds change behaviors that were previously considered fixed and unchangeable by evolution. It seems that love, for lack of a better word, can rewrite what we thought was permanent. She paused in her writing and looked at the data she had collected. The numbers were clear, but they did not capture the truth of what she had seen. They did not show the Varkan curled protectively around the sleeping captain, keeping her warm through the night cycle. They did not show the Kelari child laughing as he played with human children in the gardens. They did not show the tears in the eyes of creatures from a dozen different worlds as they gathered to remember a friend who had passed. I recommend that the Galactic Council reconsider its approach to the humans, she concluded. They are not the primitive, violent species that early reports suggested. Their ability to form bonds could be the key to solving conflicts that have lasted for millennia. I believe that the humans may be exactly what this galaxy needs. Not as warriors or scientists or explorers, though they are capable of being all of these things, but as bridges, as connectors, as the species that can bring all the others together. She submitted her report and watched as the horizon grew smaller in the viewing port. Somewhere on that ship, a human woman was probably scratching a deadly predator behind the ears, while a former enemy learned how to grow vegetables and make friends. Vexon found herself smiling. It was a human expression, one she had picked up during her time aboard the ship. She had not expected that. She had come as an observer, a scientist studying strange behavior from a distance. Perhaps the bonding worked both ways after all. Perhaps that was the point.